Alright, here we go. The long-awaited video. I made a video on my transformation, starting out very skinny, working out, eating, doing everything in my power to get muscular, and then the transformation from point A to point B. Now I want to dive more into that and talk about how I actually got muscular. So here we are. This is a little slide presentation I prepared. So without wasting any more time, I'm just going to get right into it. My name is Carson Fitness. I am a NASM certified personal trainer. I train clients daily, and I have been weight training for a number of years now. So let's get into it. My transformation, just to provide some credibility, if you did not see the original video, me on the left, that means me in May of 2022. I was about 17, 18 years old, and then fast forward to December of 2025, I'm now 21. So a couple years, pretty solid transformation. In this video, I'm going to talk about everything you need to know in terms of how I actually did this. So, training regimen, program design, nutrition slash diet, supplements, sleep, motivation, and program adherence at the end, because I think it is an important factor as well to not only motivate the people that watch this video to continue to improve in terms of their physique in the gym. But also motivating people to adhere to their program. I think that is equally important. So, in terms of training regimen, number one thing, progressive overload. Okay, this term gets thrown around a lot. Maybe you're not familiar with it. If you're not, progressive overload, basically you're trying to keep very close attention to increasing both the amount of weight that you're moving or the amount of reps that you're doing. I think the best way to do it is to incrementally increase the amount of weight on your working sets, right? So let's say you are doing bicep curls with 20-pound dumbbells for 8 reps. You keep doing that until maybe you can do it for 12 reps, and then you might bump up to the 25-pound dumbbells, and then maybe you're down to 6 reps, and you keep improving, you keep going, you're adding more weight. I would say if you're starting out or if you're kind of intermediate in the gym, it would be like on a weekly basis. If you're more experienced, it might take longer than that. But just to summarize, increasing weight, reps, both, something like that. But for me, I think the best way to do it is by increasing working sets. Intensity is greater than volume in terms of muscle growth. Muscle hypertrophy is directly related to how hard you're training, volume being the amount of sets, the amount of reps that you're doing in totality. So, like high volume, I would say would be sets of 20 to 25 reps. Intensity is how close you're pushing those sets to failure. So, you as a newcomer may not want to push everything in terms of your working sets 100% to failure. You might want to leave a few reps in reserve just to nullify extreme soreness in the next day or two from delayed onset muscle soreness, which is another concept. But intensity, you are generally trying to train pretty damn hard. You're trying to push your sets either to failure or close to failure, depending on what you're capable of. That brings us to sets and rep ranges. I would say this is somewhat based on preference. 2 to 3 sets per exercise. Rep ranges for muscle growth, I would say, are a broader range, maybe 5 to 12 reps. And then if you want to kind of thin that down a little to the best rep range, I would say probably for me, I would say 6 to 8 reps, I think, is perfect. Lifting very heavy with good form for 6 to 8 repetitions. But of course, you can still build muscle with sets of 5 reps or even lower than that or north of 12 reps. It's really subjective. But I would say that window, say 5 to 8 reps, is pretty solid. In terms of your repetition tempo, this goes hand in hand with proper form. You have 3 different phases of each repetition. You have the concentric, which is you actually lifting the weight, taking the example of a bicep curl, right? Concentric is lifting the weight up. You have your isometric, where it's kind of your static hold. And then you have the eccentric, which is on the way down. Your tempo, you just want to make sure that you're being explosive on that concentric. You want to try to move the weight as fast as possible. Your isometric, when you're just kind of holding the weight, about a second, just to make sure that you're not like kind of throwing the weight around and using momentum. And then your eccentric, uh, studies show anywhere between 2 and 7 seconds. The goal is to just control the weight on the way down. It doesn't have to be an exact science. And then the last thing is training frequency in terms of how many times per week you're training. But that is a perfect segue into the next thing we're going to talk about, which is program design. Training frequency and program design go hand in hand. So the amount of days that you want to train per week, I would decide that first and then structure your program based on that. So there's a bunch of different types of workout splits, like splitting up your workouts, different muscle groups that you're hitting per day. There's a bunch of different ones. I listed 5 of the ones that I see the most often. So push pull legs, upper lower, full body, bro split, Arnold split. Um, these are all solid, and that's why I summarized by saying the best split is the one that works for you. These are all really good. I would say that push pull legs is great if you want to run a 3 day split. So maybe you train Monday, Wednesday, Friday, take the weekend off. The Arnold split is also a really good split for that. So just to get more in depth, push pull legs, basically on a push day, you're hitting chest, shoulders, and triceps. A pull day, back, biceps, maybe even forearms. And then a leg day, you would do legs and then probably throw abs in there as well. That's what a lot of people like myself tend to do. I give it an asterisk because that is my personal favorite, but not necessarily the best on paper. Again, it's more subjective than objective. An upper lower split is great if you only have 2 days a week to train. You have an upper body day and a lower body day. It's pretty simple. Upper body day, presses, rows, curls, extensions. Lower body day, squats, RDLs, leg extensions, leg curls, etc. Calf raises, don't forget calves, and abs. Full body is like the 1 day a week thing. If you only have 1 hour per week to train, which is like next to nothing, you could do a pretty hard full body day. Again, prioritizing compound movements. A bro split is one muscle group per day. So traditionally it's laid out, say, chest, back, shoulders, arms, legs, and that's your 5 day split. So if you have 5 days to train and you want to train that way, you can. Arnold split's another 3 day split like push pull legs, only instead of hitting pushing and pulling muscles, you're hitting antagonists, meaning you would do chest and back on the first day, shoulders and arms on the second, and then legs on the third. Yeah, but the best split is the one that works for you. Find what you enjoy. Also, these splits can be run as many times per week as you want to. So push pull legs, like I said, 3 day split. You can also run it as a 6 day split. So you could do push pull legs, rest, push pull legs, or you could do push pull legs, rest, right? Same thing with upper lower. You can make that a 2 day split, or you can do upper lower rest, upper lower rest. Arnold split, you can run through it twice in a week. Just to goes for show, you can kind of create your own split however you want to. No matter what your workout plan design is, you can up the training frequency to cater to your schedule. Oh yeah, and then the image to the right is an example of my own split. So, like I said, I like to run push pull personally. These are just kind of some examples of exercises I would do on the particular days. Let's talk about nutrition. So, as a trainer, nutrition is outside of my scope of practice. I can't give specific dietary advice, but I can tell you what worked for me. In terms of going from skinny to muscular, of course, you're going to need a quote unquote bulking phase. I feel like a lot of people do this wrong, though. You want a light to moderate calorie surplus, say like 300 to 500 calories over your maintenance calories, which is the amount of calories you need to just kind of stay the same in terms of weight fluctuation. You want to work on reaching 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So me, I'm 170 pounds. I'm trying to reach 170 grams of protein every day. The thing that I think people do wrong with bulking is bulking too hard. So that's also known as dirty bulking, where you just kind of eat everything in front of you. You go into, say, 1,000 calorie surplus or 1,500. And that's also the image that I have on the right of me eating a glazed donut, because that was my dirty bulk phase, which I regret. The reason I don't recommend this is because you're going to put on a lot of excess fat, and you're going to just have to work harder to cut down after. I would say a cleaner bulk is most definitely better, and lighter surplus to ensure that the weight that you're putting on is more muscle mass than fat. And in terms of some people saying, oh, I have a fast metabolism, I can't gain weight, you can. You can gain weight. Eat early and often. You can out-eat whatever fast metabolism you have. It is possible. There is a way. If you can't eat anymore, drink. Protein shakes and smoothies are very good resources. You eat, say, your 4 or 5 meals daily. On top of that, you're drinking protein shakes, maybe after a workout, you're drinking smoothies in the morning before bed, whatever you need to do, just get the liquid calories in. After bulking, you can choose to cut down, which is what I was kind of talking about before, where you can shed the unwanted fat that you put on from a bulk phase. Being in a calorie surplus is going to help you gain the muscle mass. You're probably also going to gain a little bit of fat, which you may later want to lose. So cutting down is an option, or you can stay at your maintenance calories and focus on gaintaining, which is your nutrition, your calorie stay at maintenance, but you're trying to kind of slowly put on muscle mass, which requires training with a lot of intensity. In terms of supplements, creatine monohydrate is going to be a very, very important one. Obviously, protein was previously talked about. Protein powder is pretty sick as well. It just kind of helps you supplement, meaning protein powder you don't want to use as meal replacement. It's kind of just to supplement, in other words, add protein to your diet when it's harder. Say, it's difficult for you to eat a giant steak. It might be easier to drink a protein shake, get 30 grams of protein, like that. Creatine, besides protein powder, creatine is going to be one of the most important supplements. Creatine, traditionally, a dosage is at 5 grams per day. Some people recommend doing a loading phase where you would take about 20 grams a day for the first couple of days. I personally did not do that. I don't think it's necessary. I think 5 grams a day for creatine is perfect. And then by, your 30th day in, it'll saturate fully in your system. Creatine does a bunch of things for you. So it's going to increase your power output. It's going to increase your ATP, your adenosine triphosphate, which is basically energy. You're going to recover faster. You're going to gain intramuscular water weight, intramuscular meaning within the muscle. So, common misconceptions, people say that it makes you bloated or, just look fat. That's not true. The water is stored within the muscle, so it'll make your muscles look bigger. But also has cognitive benefits. So, your thinking, your memory. Studies have shown that that has improved by supplementing creatine. Many, many, many benefits. Definitely worth looking into. Next, you have your multivitamin. Your multivitamin is a really good resource to get all of the daily vitamins that you need, either in the form of a gummy or a capsule, something like that. If you want to go above and beyond, you can always take extra of vitamin C, which is really good for immunity and absorption. Vitamin D, which is actually a hormone, which is good for your skin, good for regulating your melatonin, which helps you sleep at night. Vitamin K is another example, also known as potassium, which helps with muscle spasms/cramps. And then, of course, you have your minerals. So magnesium glycinate is probably the one you want to use if you're into a fitness lifestyle. Magnesium helps with muscle cramps, alleviating them, and also helps with your sleep as well, which we will get into more on the next slide. Then you have zinc. Zinc is really good for managing healthy hormones, for men specifically, testosterone. Also has a role in immunity. Fish oil is really good for lubricating the joints, just ensuring that mobility is enhanced. And then you have your adaptogens, specifically ashwagandha is what I use and what I'm going to talk about. But basically helps lower your cortisol, which is the stress hormone, makes you more relaxed, which I really like. Also is a sleep aid as well. And then finally, for me, this is just me, but sea moss I take every day. I figured I'd throw it in there just because I like it, but it's a good source of iodine and some other minerals, and it does help with libido and making sure your hormones are healthy. Alrighty, we get to talk about sleep now. This is going to be probably my favorite section. So, sleep is really important for keeping your testosterone high. You need to prioritize sleep. For select people, it's different in terms of how many hours of sleep you need every night, but the average I would say that you want to aim for is about 8 to 9 hours. If you're somebody that can sleep 6 hours a night, wake up fully rested, and get your blood work back and your testosterone is peaks, like, sure, by all means do what you got to do. But for the average person, 8 to 9 hours, I need kind of on the upper end. I would say 9 hours to feel fully rested, but like I said, subjective based on the person. You want to make sure you're regulating your circadian rhythms. That's just kind of your body's internal clock. You want to try to go to sleep at the same time every night. That's going to help you fall asleep at the same time, wake up refreshed and energized when you wake up at the same time every day as well. The only issue with falling asleep, obviously, is you may have some difficulty depending on who you are. Something that works for me is cold room, warm body, meaning that your room that you're sleeping in is of a bit of a colder temperature. Meanwhile, you are warm. You're under the covers, and that kind of helps me fall asleep when I have that cold atmosphere. Tea helps. You can also use certain types of tea, like valerian or chamomile, or any of the above to help you fall asleep. And then the previous supplements, like I said, magnesium glycinate, ashwagandha, vitamin D, they will help you as well. Another big thing, no late caffeine, because caffeine, I believe the half-life is about 8 hours, so you want to try to consume caffeine earlier in the day, and obviously not before you go to bed, or even close in proximity. The reason is obviously it's going to disrupt your sleep, but the goal here is train hard to recover harder. Okay, you put a lot of effort into training, damaging your muscles. You want to grow from that. You want to recover. You need to prioritize your recovery. You need to sleep well. You need to eat well. You need to do everything in your power to make sure that you recover from these high intensity workouts if you want to grow. All right, our last topic, we got motivation and program adherence. The goal is to create a workout plan or a split that you'll stick to and enjoy. You can work around a busy schedule, your training frequency, how long you train. You can 100% whatever schedule you have, you can work with it, even if you're training 30-minute sessions 3 times a week or twice a week. There's a way to do it. Any work is better than none. And going hand in hand with that, I think fitness should be a balance between what's best for your goals and what you enjoy doing. So make a split that you like, one that is effective for your goals, but one that you enjoy doing, not one that you're dreading before you go into the gym, because that is very bad for exercise adherence. If possible, find a training partner. Of course, this is optional. I trained mostly alone during the years that I was really developing my physique, but a training partner is really good for holding yourself accountable and holding the other person accountable. It's just nice to have a bond, someone there with you, embarking on the same journey. And then consistency is key. You have to understand that you're not going to see progress in a single day or a single week. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day. Progress does take time. Just fall in love with the process, and week to week, you will see progress. You will be rewarded in the end, I promise. So, just to summarize, lock yourself into a routine of training hard, resting efficiently, and finishing your plate. You set realistic goals, hold yourself accountable. Exercise adherence begins with an enjoyable yet effective plan. You know what you need to do to fulfill your desires. It is all about putting in the work. You got to go out there, you got to do it, you got to start. You have all the information you need. This is everything. I gatekeep nothing when it comes to my fitness journey. Just go out there, get it done. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the progress and the motivation that I get from people who hopefully watch this video. So thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you listening if you made it this far. And of course, I want to make further videos like this in the future, maybe for fat loss or something of the sort. But let me know in the comments what you think. And of course, subscribe if you like this video, leave a like. But again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.